Okay, let's talk about something. What if um, the biggest thing shaping your financial future isn't your salary, but maybe these little hidden habits, the tiny choices you make every single day?
Ugh, that's a really powerful starting point because, yeah, every time you handle money, or maybe don't handle it, you're casting a vote, right, for where you'll end up.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Are those daily habits actually pushing you towards wealth, towards freedom? Or are they like accidentally keeping you stuck where you are?
And that's what we're diving into today, these 9 money habits that are keeping you broke. And this isn't just theory. It comes from someone who actually lived, it went from broke at 24 to, believe it or not, a millionaire by 27.
Wow, okay. So real world experience plus observations of why others struggle.
Right. And our mission here for this deep dive is to really unpack each habit. We want to get into some maybe surprising truths and give you things you can actually do.
Actionable takeaways. The goal is you listen, you identify maybe one or two things in your own life, and you get that shortcut to being really informed on this stuff. It's crucial.
Absolutely. So let's jump in. Habit number 1. And this one, it feels almost too simple, but it trips so many people up. Taking advice from broke people.
Huh. Yeah. Seems obvious when you say it like that.
It does, but think about it. The core idea is if someone, yeah, people who've actually done it, they've succeeded in the specific thing you want to achieve, they're your guides for the big strategic moves. The source even says, like, they're the people you turn to instead of your parents for that high-level financial stuff.
Got it. So find someone who's already there. Who else?
Second, coaches. These are the specialists, people with deep, specific expertise. Think like an Olympic athlete's coach.
Right. They have the blueprint.
Precisely. They have that detailed plan for success. You want someone like that for wealth building. And third,
Okay. Mentors, coaches.
peers. People on a similar path, but maybe like a year or two ahead of you.
Okay. Why them specifically?
Because they offer certainty. They know what's working right now in the current market. It's fresh, relevant insight.
Makes sense. So mentors for strategy, coaches for the blueprint, peers for what's working now. What about everyone else? Like your Uncle Bob at Thanksgiving.
Huh. Well, the advice is listen politely, acknowledge it,
Yeah.
and then you strategically ignore it if it doesn't align. Filter heavily.
Filter heavily?
Yeah.
Okay. But even with the best advice, if you're not actually looking at your money,
Yeah.
that leads us to habit number 2, right? Ignoring your bank account.
Bingo. And this comes down to a really interesting idea. What you look at will grow. It sounds a bit abstract, but it's about focus.
How so?
If you ignore your finances, stick your head in the sand, maybe just glance at a monthly statement, you're almost guaranteed to drift off course.
I can see that. Out of sight, out of mind leads to out of control spending.
Totally. The source tells this story about his mentor getting genuinely angry when he couldn't recall his business numbers instantly. That kind of accountability, it's powerful.
Yeah, that would be a wake-up call.
It really is. When you regularly look at your numbers, you're not just tracking, you're actively interfering with those unconscious spending habits. You become the pilot, not just a passenger.
Okay, I'm sold on the why.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? Practically speaking, how do we
Yeah.
keep that pulse?
First, make it daily. The source calls it the 24-hour rule. It's a big no-no if you haven't logged in and checked your cash flow, your balance, in the last 24 hours.
Daily. Okay, that's a commitment. I admit sometimes those finance apps, they get snoozed.
We all do it.
Yeah.
But it needs to become automatic, like brushing your teeth. And beyond just looking, you need to automate the tracking.
Apps and stuff.
Yeah, use those free personal finance apps. Set up a budget. It makes decisions easier, less like pulling teeth every time you spend money.
Clarity, not constant struggle.
Exactly. And it's not just about tracking past spending. It's about looking ahead, saving, planning for things, investing.
Right. Because here's the thing, and it's blunt. If you don't figure out how to save, it honestly doesn't matter how much more money you make. You'll just spend more.
So true. If your outgo always exceeds your income, you're stuck. Period.
So daily checks, automated tracking, forward-looking planning. Anything else?
Yeah, one more thing. Create sensors. Simple idea, huge impact.
Sensors, like
Yeah.
alarms.
Kind of. Set up notifications. Get a text for every credit card transaction. An email if your savings dip below a certain point. Little alerts that keep you aware. Prevent surprises.
I like that. Proactive awareness. Okay, so we're looking at our money, we're tracking.
Yeah.
But what if we're still falling for the next trap? Trying to get rich quick.
Ah, yes. The siren song of overnight wealth. The source is very clear. Real wealth is built over time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And FOMO, fear of missing out, is a terrible guide for financial choices.
Terrible. And the source had a pretty painful personal story about this, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Brutal. Really drives the point home. He was Canadian about a decade ago, heard about these super cheap houses in Detroit, banks selling them for like $10,000.
Sounds too good to be true.
It was. Turns out they were basically, rundown crack houses, properties the banks were desperate to unload, often with huge hidden problems.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He showed up with a load of cash thinking he was a genius. Then his brother, who was actually in Detroit, calls him and is like, "Do you realize what you just bought? We're liable for these things."
Ouch. How bad was the damage?
Lost $100,000. Just like that. Trying to get rich quick in a market he didn't understand, a country he wasn't from, a city he didn't live in. He admits, looking back, the lesson was kind of deserved. Painful, but deserved.
Wow. Okay, that's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So for someone listening right now, maybe tempted by crypto or some hot stock,
Right.
how do they avoid that $100 kilo mistake before making it?
It goes back to the fundamentals of building real wealth. First, build valuable skills.
Skills people will pay for.
Exactly. High demand stuff. Sales, marketing, maybe AI automation now. Skills businesses need and pay top dollar for. Make yourself valuable.
Okay, skills first. What's next?
Second, solve real problems. The source talks about trying to build apps for teenage friends early on. They had no money.
Right. IOUs and gas money don't build wealth.
Not really. You need to target problems faced by businesses, by people who have actual budgets who can pay you real money.
Solve problems for people with money. Got it. And the third piece was about building a business. It sounds daunting, but the source simplified it.
He really did. Just sell something to a stranger, take their money. That's the core of business. Don't get bogged down initially.
Like, don't worry about incorporating right away.
Right. You can apparently make up to $30,000 a year. Just file taxes normally. The key is starting. Take that first step. Sell something.
Okay, focus on skills, solve real problems, start selling. But even then, you can get stuck if you're caught in the next habit, trading time for money.
The classic trap. Your income is directly tied to the hours you work.
Yeah, the source mentioned being a young programmer, like 19 or 20, making $30 an hour. Seemed amazing then.
Huge money at that age. But the realization hits, if you only get paid when you show up, there's a hard ceiling on your income. Only so many hours in a day.
So how do you break that linear link? The source talked about levels, right?
Yes. 3 levels of time trading. Level 1 is the basic trader employee. You clock in, you get paid for your time, maybe a salary, maybe hourly, but it's time-based.
Limited by hours. What's level 2?
Level 2 is trader entrepreneur. This is where you start using money to buy back time. You have a business, it's making money.
And you hire someone.
Exactly. You hire, say, an admin assistant for $25 an hour. They take tasks off your plate, freeing you up to do something higher value, maybe close a big deal worth thousands. You've traded $25 for potentially thousands in return value by freeing your time.
That's leverage. Okay, that's a big shift. What's level 3?
Level 3, trader empire builder. Now you're trading money for money.
Investing.
Right. Investing in your own business, other businesses, assets, getting a return without you actively working or even showing up. Your money starts making money for you. That's where real scalable wealth happens.
Empire builder. I like that. But okay, even if you reach that level, you can still sabotage yourself with the next habit. Paying for status.
Oh, this one is so common. Buying things you can't really afford to impress people you probably don't even like that much.
It's about perception over reality, isn't it? Focusing on looking rich instead of being rich.
Precisely. The source acknowledges he wears a nice watch now, but stresses it came after, 20 years of building, investing, grinding. It wasn't an early purchase to fake it.
And he had that story from when he was younger. The ski trip.
Yeah, when he was 21. Blew something like $20,000 in 2 weeks on this incredibly extravagant ski trip.
20 grand at 21. Wow.
Crazy, right? And the kicker, looking back, the real joy, the best part of that trip, was the simple road trip he took with his brother to get there. Cost basically just gas money. The expensive stuff didn't deliver the lasting value.
That's insightful. It took him years after that to feel okay buying luxury without it, owning him.
Yeah, that's a key point. The item doesn't possess you. So how do we avoid this status trap?
What's the counter mindset?
First, take pride in living below your means. Actually dare yourself to spend the least amount possible while you build your dreams. It's kind of quiet rebellion.
I like that. What else?
Second, learn to have money without spending it. This was a fascinating idea. Carry $10,000 in cash for a year.
Carry it, not spend it.
Exactly. For 12 months. Just have it. The idea is it fundamentally changes your relationship with money, breaks that urge to spend it the second it arrives.
Whoa. That's a serious psychological exercise.
It really is. And the third solution is maybe the simplest yet hardest.
Which is?
Just don't play the game. Opt out. Decide you're not participating in the status competition. Be authentically yourself. If you can do that, possessions lose their power over you.
Don't play the game. Powerful. Okay, so we're avoiding status symbols, but what about just random spending? Habit 6, impulse buying.
Yes. Giving in to that instant gratification. So easy to do, especially now with one-click buying. It leads to debt, pressure.
The source mentioned young people especially, getting new car leases, fancy apartments right away.
Yeah, saddling themselves early on. And here's a really provocative thought from the source. Delayed gratification is more powerful than compound interest.
Whoa, hold on. More powerful than compound interest. That's a big claim. Financial advisors might argue with that one.
It's designed to make you think. The idea is if you master the discipline of delaying gratification, that skill, that anti-impulse muscle.
That muscle changes everything else.
Right, because every time you say no to an impulse buy, you're actually saying yes to your bigger goals, your dreams. It redirects your resources consciously.
So how do you build that muscle? How do you fight the impulse?
You tie your desires to your goals instead of just buying something because you make it a reward for an achievement.
Like the source did with his McLaren.
Exactly. He finished this intense challenge called 75 Hard, pushed his discipline, and the McLaren was the reward he'd set for himself. Or a family trip to Cabo tied to hitting a business milestone.
So you still get the nice things eventually, but they're earned. They mean something more.
Precisely. It teaches you to strive, but in a positive, goal-oriented way, not just accumulating stuff in debt. But controlling impulses only gets you so far if you're making the next mistake, spending time to save money.
This one feels counterintuitive at first, right? Broke people spend time to save a little money. Rich people spend money to save time.
It flips the script. It's all about leverage. The source told that story about his dad mowing the lawns at his rental properties every Sunday.
Claiming he liked doing it.
Right. But when asked if he'd mow the neighbor's lawn for free, the answer was, well, I don't like it that much.
Huh. So it wasn't about enjoyment. It was about not wanting to spend the money to pay someone else.
Exactly. A reluctance to trade money for time. And you just can't scale yourself. You can't grow significantly if you're always doing everything yourself to save a few bucks.
Okay, so how do we apply this? How do we start buying back time?
Identify the time sucks. Those little micro activities, home stuff, laundry, cleaning, maybe meal prep, running errands, business stuff, managing emails, scheduling, basic research.
Things that add up.
They really do. 5, 10, maybe 15 hours a week, easily eaten up by this stuff.
So find the time sinks.
Yeah.
Then what? Use the buyback rate.
Yes. The formula. It's simple but powerful. Figure out your rough hourly rate. Take your annual income or what you pay yourself from your business and divide by 2,000 hours.
Okay, so $200 K income is $100 an hour.
Right. Then divide that hourly rate by 4. So $100 divided by 4 is $25. That $25 is your buyback rate.
And the rule is?
If you can pay someone $25 or less per hour to do a task that frees up an hour of your time, it's a fantastic investment. You're buying back your $100 an hour time for just $25.
So you can use that freed up hour for something more valuable. Rest, learning, earning more money.
Exactly. Self-care, upskilling, focusing on the high-leverage activities, it's crucial. But valuing time isn't enough if you're stuck in habit number 8, playing defense.
The scarcity mindset. Believing you can just save and budget your way to wealth.
Yeah, the idea that penny pinching is the primary path. Look, budgeting is important, defense matters, but it won't make you wealthy on its own. You have to increase your income. You have to play offense.
Play to win, not just play not to lose.
That's the philosophy. Think about someone like Mr. Beast on YouTube. He plays full offense, reinvests crazy amounts of money back into his videos to make them bigger and better, sometimes spending it before he even technically has it secured.
That's definitely offense.
Or the source himself at 23 broke, investing literally every last dollar he had into a business coach because he was just sick and tired of not being successful. He realized scarcity wasn't working.
So, for someone listening, wanting to switch from defense to offense, what are those first key investments? Where do you put the money?
Number 1, hands down, your skills. The source says you should have an unlimited budget for 2 things, health and education.
Unlimited budget for health and education. Books, courses.
Tutors, consultants, anything that makes you more valuable, that increases your capacity. Invest in yourself first.
Okay, skills are primary. What else?
Second, your network. Your environment is critical. Sometimes you need to consciously invest money to get into better rooms, join higher-level business groups or masterminds. Think of it like tuition for better connections.
Like that saying, your net worth is your network.
It's often true. Excess matters. And third, circling back, your time.
Invest money to buy back time.
You have to become a master time trader. If you're not willing to spend money to free up your time for higher value work, you'll stay stuck in that linear income game. Play offense with your time.
Skills, network, time. Got it. Okay, we've covered 8 habits, but the last one, number 9. This one feels different, deeper. Making money the goal.
It really is profound because money fundamentally is just a tool. It's paper, it's digits. Without a purpose behind it, it's kind of empty.
And chasing it as the only goal that leads to burnout or feeling lost.
Exactly. The source shared that very personal story of exiting his first company, made millions, achieved the big money goal he'd been chasing his whole life, hustling, grinding.
And he should have been ecstatic, right?
You'd think, but he felt totally lost, empty, because the money was the goal, and once he had it, what next? He lost his purpose, said nobody cared if he even got out of bed anymore. The drive was gone.
Wow. So the millions didn't bring the fulfillment he expected.
Not inherently. The real happiness, the fulfillment he found, came from having a purpose attached to the money, not from the money itself.
Okay, so how do we avoid that? How do we make money with purpose?
First, shift your focus from the number. It's not about how much can I save or make, it's about what can I do with that amount, or how many people could I potentially help.
Frame it around impact, not accumulation.
Precisely. What can you accomplish with it? Second, you need to find that purpose. This can feel big, abstract.
Yeah, find your purpose is easier said than done. Any clues from the source?
He suggests looking right next to the hardest thing you've ever overcome, your biggest struggle, your deepest pain. Often, your purpose lies in helping others navigate or avoid that same pain.
Turn your mess into your message, kinda.
Sort of, yeah. Use your experience to serve others who are where you used to be. And third, related to that, give back.
Connect the money to helping others.
You have to. If it's all just for you, you'll likely end up feeling empty, always chasing the next high, the next mountain, as the source puts it. Tying it to others creates meaning, contentment.
Purpose makes the pursuit sustainable and fulfilling.
Yeah.
And, thinking about offense again, focusing on abundance.
Yes. Look at what you do have. If you're listening to this, you likely have a phone, internet access, basic needs met. That's incredible abundance compared to most of human history. Access to information, tools, communication.
Focus on possibility, not limitations.
Exactly. Even failures, even setbacks, they're just lessons. Expensive lessons sometimes, sure, but they prevent bigger, more costly mistakes down the road.
That's great perspective. Wow, we've covered a lot. 9 habits that can really hold people back.
Hopefully it's given everyone listening some things to chew on, maybe identify 1 or 2 habits they can start shifting. It's about conscious choices.
Absolutely. And maybe we leave listeners with this final thought to mull over, something the source touched on. The truth is, even if you try something new financially, and maybe you fail, maybe you end up back at 0, you haven't really lost because you've gained lessons.
Invaluable lessons. So the question is, how might those hard-won lessons actually be a more enduring, more valuable form of wealth than any specific dollar amount?
Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it helps spark some positive changes in your own financial journey.